Richard Tice is here, leader of the Reform UK Party, of course, talk radio presenter on Sunday morning as well. He'll be back here at 10 a.m. Let's just talk a little bit, Richard, about what Boris did say about this sort of high-wage, low-tax nation that he wants to create. I mean, can he do that?
Well, obviously he can't do it personally, and but there are elements which is good news. It's part of the Brexit dividend that what we've seen over recent weeks and months is that actually some of the lowest paid in society are actually the most critical to our daily lives continuing. Lorry drivers, supermarket workers, warehouse operators, abattoir men and women.
But we keep hearing that people in this country don't want to work in abattoirs, right? Therefore, somehow, if we raise the level of pay, they will. I'm not sure they will they?
I disagree. I think the reality is, and we've been doing a bit of work, the reality is that in too many sectors, big business have been able to keep wages for manual labour and things down because of the amount of uncontrolled, low-skilled Eastern European immigration that we had. And Boris did actually finally accept that and address that in his speech, which was important. And so you may well see a situation where manual wages are going up, and that's a really good thing, and that actually office-based workers, particularly hopefully amongst civil servants, that they don't go up because actually they've had the wage rises over the last 15 years, and so I think that's a good thing. And of course we want to skill up and train our own people, and that's really, really important. That means getting rid of the useless courses that go on in many universities and have some proper courses that teach you some real skills.
Yeah, I wonder whether, with all the madness of the university sort of wokery, that we shouldn't just say, you know what, all of this nonsense of sending 35 to 40% of kids to university should stop. Well, let's go back to what it used to be, which was sort of 5 to 10%, and everybody else goes and gets a proper job.
Well, one of the things to do is actually, given that I did some research a few years back, and the average course only gave 10 to 11 hours of tuition, lectures, 23 weeks a year. The last time I looked, there's 52 weeks in a year.
Right.
So actually, you could have many of those courses could be done in 2 years, not 3, at the choice of the individual. If you want to save 15 grand, then do it in 2 years, not 3. And I think we can see that's eminently possible. And then you've got the madness of, for example, we're short of doctors and nurses, and yet we cap the numbers being taught those things in our universities. You should lift the cap. We've also put forward a policy that actually, for example, you could doctors that qualify, if they work in the NHS for 10 years, you could gradually pro rata essentially write off their student loans as a way of incentivizing and motivating people in the medical world to stick with it. These are the sort of incentives to properly skill up really great, talented, bright people.
Education has become nothing to do with education. It's a business now, isn't it? All of these big universities are making a fortune. They're getting money coming in from China. They're getting sponsorships from all sorts of multinational companies. And for them, it's not about educating kids.
And what I discovered is that in many cases, when people are told they're going to be taught by fantastic professors and brilliant gurus, actually nothing's further than the truth. Very often you end up with a postgrad student reading a bunch of slides from a PowerPoint being paid 20 quid an hour, because the truth is the professors and they don't really like teaching. They love doing the research. They get huge research grants and things. And that's been going on for years and years, and it's about time it was called out.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now, I'm not sure if you'll be doing this on Sunday, but we're going to do it a little bit later on in our show. The Metropolitan Police apparently is the worst force in England and Wales for solving sexual and violent crime. Just 1 in 20 offences resulting in a charge. That's appalling, isn't it?
It's utterly appalling, and it's halved in the last 5 years. And who's been in charge for the last 5 years? I wonder.
That would be Cressida Dick, wouldn't it?
I think it might be. I think that's the person that the Home Secretary reappointed for continuity.
Right.
So does that mean over the next couple of years it's going to halve again?
And also the woman at Kit Malthouse, the police and crime minister, said was doing a great job.
It's quite extraordinary. Are
they all seeing something that we're not seeing?
No, the truth is they're not telling the truth. Yeah. And I think that more and more people are beginning to realise that. And that's what happens when you lose trust in a government. When they say one thing, but if you believe the exact opposite, you will be closer to the reality. And this is just not good enough. Londoners are being completely let down by the Met Police leadership under Cressida Dick, and under the Mayor's leadership, Sadiq Khan. And this just goes on. And where's Sadiq Khan criticising these figures? He's nowhere to be seen.
No, he only pops up every now and again on friendly radio stations where they don't ask him any hard questions.
When he's announcing the creation of some other daft, low-traffic neighbourhood.
Unveiling a new statue or something.
It's
pathetic, isn't it?
Well, it's it's not good enough, and these crime statistics are really shocking, and that absolutely affects people's daily lives.
Well, we were asking these questions the other day, and I had a text from someone who said they tried to get into a police station. It took them 2 hours to actually get anybody to even open the door. And there was a group of Polish men who had all their equipment stolen from their van, who had basically just given up and gone home and gone, we can't get the police to even talk to us about the crime that we have been victims of.
Well, and funnily enough, a tenant of some property I'm involved in up in under the Greater Manchester Police, they had a white van, 3 guys, got it all on CCTV footage, smashed into the shutters, nicked all the tools. We gave the footage to the police, phoned up 3 weeks later to say, how's the investigation going on? You've got the footage. Oh no, terribly sorry, sir. We can't use facial recognition software on the criminals because it's against their human rights.
Oh, for God's sake!
Seriously, I promise
the point,
you.
Then?
So what's more important, the human rights of the criminals or us, the victim?
Right.
I mean, it's just outrageous.
But does that mean there's no point in even having human facial recognition then?
Exactly.
If you can't use it, what's the point of it?
It's utter madness. But this is Greater Manchester Police, who
presumably they can use it on you if you're not wearing a mask, even though they don't know who you are.
There you are. I mean, this is a police force that was in special measures, whose chief constable had to go, and it's just not good enough. It really is not good enough. We need some proper, robust, firm, clear leadership, whether it's in the police, whether it's in the civil service, whether it's in government, and we're not getting it. Right. It's not good enough.
Well, Insulate Britain were out and about this morning again, so I presume the police were standing around watching them, maybe giving them a round of applause.
Well, let's find out.
Well done for saving the planet.
We know where they should be. In fairness, the Prime Minister did actually say where they should be, and they should be locked up.
Yeah, they should.
I mean, there's no other issue. There's no other point about it, and they're so hypocritical. I think we discovered today in the papers that one of their leaders, is very happy sort of going on long trips around Europe in his battered out diesel car. I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up.
Well,
you
the guy,
really
Roger
couldn't.
Hallam, whatever his name is, has got 6 diesel-powered vehicles on his farm, when they're all old and clapped out. So presumably pumping out all sorts of nasty pollution.
So he's part of the emergency, the alarmist crisis.
He is. I mean, he himself is probably responsible for killing off half part of Nepal.
Well, the good news is, the good news is that sensible people like you and I, we are still enjoying meat.
Yes.
We're not part of the significant reduction in meat consumption that appears to have gone on.
Certainly not.
In the last few years. I'm continuing to enjoy a fantastic British beef and other British meat.
Dry aged beef, I find.
Wonderful. Yeah. Lamb and pigs. I enjoy my meat.
I've got to pick up a leg of lamb actually as I drive past the farm shop in my Range Rover later on, which will be very nice too. I'll be very much looking forward to it at the weekend. Richard, good to see you. I didn't get a chance to ask you about the show on Saturday, but I'm sure it'll be brilliant.